Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Transformers fans everywhere, welcome back. LPS Last Prime Speculator, here to bring you another speculation as always. Been a while, guys, hasn't it? Subs, I owe you one. I know it's been a while. Thank you so much for your patience. This is the new series I'm doing called the Redemption Series. These are stories, plots, events, characters that were not answered in Transformers The Last Night. Today we're going to focus on the Redemption Series on the 3 posters that were leaked for Transformers The Last Night. Starting with Poster 1, Poster 2, and Poster 3. These 3 posters were, in my opinion, big Easter eggs and also misrepresentation of what the writers team probably should have done. So basically, this is my little short series of what I'm going to focus on, where I think that questions answered, all that needs to be addressed. And we're going to start it right on this Redemption Series with these 3 posters. Now we'll start with Poster 1. I'm sure you guys remember this poster. This poster was actually the New York Billboard for Transformers The Last Night, letting everybody know that there was a movie coming out involving Transformers. So we saw Optimus Prime and we saw Dragonstorm in this poster, but there's actually a lot of Easter eggs in this of story plots that I personally thought they were going to do in Transformers The Last Night. So we'll start right away. I'm going to start right away down below with the sword. Now, I thought originally the sword was going to have a significant story plot in this story, being it's Transformers The Last Night. They advertised the sword and they were marketing Excalibur. They didn't touch on it, so that's what we're doing this channel. We touch on that stuff. Now, as you can see, we see Optimus Prime, Dragonstorm, and we see everything around in this Billboard poster, okay? We see his sword, and the way he's got his sword gripped and angled, it almost, in my opinion, looks like he's placing his sword into a lock. Like the sword is meant to unlock a key. It's almost like he's twisting something. That his sword is meant to unlock something, almost like a key to some sort, which I originally thought was going to be the Omega Lock. But if you look at this sword, it's not just the sword that's significant. It's the in-depth architect on this sword that is so significant. When I thought they were doing Excalibur, I thought this was literally going to be about good and evil. To understand this little Easter egg of this poster, you have to go back to Transformers Age of Extinction. When Optimus Prime took the sword and took possession of it, when he said the legend exists, he pulled the sword and said, "Recognize one of your knights." And I, honest to God, felt in that moment, when he said the legend exists, the legends exist of what secrets he was looking to have answered, or the legends of the darkness that is coming for Optimus. Almost like it was like a sacrifice in a way. If you look in the front of the sword, you can see right here, it's got this very demonic looking symbol. Okay? Almost looks like a ancient pharaoh demon in a way. This sword, I believed at the time, was an infection. If you remember, when Optimus Prime was captured by Lockdown, he explained to him that this was the night ship was his, and him and his knights used these ships to travel in galaxies. And Optimus told Lockdown that you've disgraced it, as in he's infected it. Kind of when he pulled up the sword in the night ship, he knew what was going to happen. He knew that he was going to inherit this hate infection. Now, again, in the front, it's got a very evil looking face, almost like the sword itself is possessed. Now we'll look at Optimus Prime. Now you see Optimus Prime. You see the silver, you see the blue, kind of like the Silver Knight Optimus Prime. But what's very significant that's overlooked at is 2 things. Obviously, if you look at his eyes, there's nothing there. Soulless. No spark. No nothing. Like literally Optimus Prime's spark and the good that we know, the hero that we know, is completely not there. Non-existent. Almost like he's being controlled. But being controlled by what is the question? Now, if you also look at this poster, again, you see the blue, you see the silver, but what is overlooked is the red. The red paint around Optimus. You can see it right on his forearms. You can see it on his chest. You can kind of see it on his neck. Literally, I was thinking at the time that this was an infection of Optimus Prime that he inherited from the sword, right? This, in the commercials, it focused on redemption. And that basically redemption for Optimus Prime's failures as a leader here on Earth with the Autobots and humans. Everything's at war and everything's all out of place. Where literally, I thought that this sword infected my hero, Optimus Prime, and created the evil that we know as Nemesis Prime, right? Now, the colors in his eyes, there's nothing there. There's no blue. There's no purple. there's nothing. Like, literally, it is blank, as in he is completely soulless. There is nothing there. That this infection through this Transformers live action universe, through the guilt, the failures of him, excuse me, have led to this moment of Optimus Prime having his spark completely corrupt, as in, like, the sword itself infected him and his spark, obviously with his emotions and everything towards the humans, the Transformers at war. That would be some significant. But what's really significant is where the sword is pointing. Now, if you look below, you can see the sword is pointing down. Again, it looks like it's unlocking something. But right above it, you see the horn, which we found out was Unicron, right? You see Unicron's horn right below, I'm sorry, on top of actually that skull-looking demonic symbol on the sword that Optimus has. Now, this is where it kind of gets very significant. I thought this was going to be, again, versus good and evil. If you're talking Unicron, Primus comes in the same category, and I was really hoping that this was going to be good versus evil, aka Unicron versus Primus. Now, you see the Battle of Chicago also below. Now, this was literally the start of the Transformers and the humans being at war, okay? Almost like it was the starting point of the rules have changed. Chicago was the start of the war happening for the Transformers and humans at war. Now, if you look on top of the Chicago as well as Optimus, you can see a flag. I have thought originally this was some sort of sign of Transformers 5, along with some sign of some worship of Unicron. Now, on top of that, you see this little spaceship. I originally thought you could see the cross. This is very similar to the Quintesson's ship, their traveling ship from Transformers Generation 1. I thought that literally there's possibly there's two possessions of controlling Optimus Prime. That would be the Quintessons, who were the creators of the Transformers cog, and Unicron, the Dark Lord. Now, with all of this taken in, there's small Easter eggs that there's a story here that I felt that weren't touched. We see the red, we see Optimus, we see Chicago, we see the horn, we see Dragonstorm. But what we don't see, or at least wasn't addressed, and this is what I thought, is we see this blue light surrounding Optimus Prime. A blue light, a blue light of hope, a blue light of freedom, democracy, guiding Optimus through this evilness that he is going through. I originally thought that this was the light of Primus. When you have Unicron, you have Primus. You could see it right on the tip of the sword, that this light is being focused on almost the tip end of where the skull or the demonic looking symbol begins. That Primus is providing that light to get through to Optimus while his spark is being corrupt. I also thought when we see Dragonstorm looking at Optimus that this was a version of Primus himself, that he reincarnated himself, that he was the guardian of Optimus Prime, guiding him through this infection of hate almost. There's a lot of Easter eggs here that were never looked, and like I said, I really thought this was going to be, again, good and evil. Now, let's move on to poster 2. Again, you see Optimus Prime. Now it's a different angle of Optimus Prime. You can see the way he's holding this sword. It looks like he's turning it, almost like he's unlocking something, maybe unlocking the secrets, unlocking some sort of treasure, or doing some sort of bidding for the evil that is controlling him. We also can see, again, he's got no eyes, no soul, nothing there. You can see, again, the red on his hip, the red on the tip of his sword. The absolution is found on the tip of his sword. That means guilt, shame, regret, failures. We're literally the guilt that everything he's put his Autobots through in Transformers Last Night would be affected with the sword and the blade that Optimus Prime possessed in Transformers Age of Extinction, right? Now, they're not showing it present right here, but if you look really closely, you can again see that little demonic thing right over the Transformers look, which is again infecting Optimus. That Optimus himself, being the last Prime, is the key to this whole story. Now, we see Cybertron in the back behind Optimus. Now, again, there's Chicago, the beginning of the end for the Transformers and the humans, the human race, where the war began through Chicago. Now, what's unique here is we also see Unicron's horn taking place. Now, again, I thought that was the birthplace of the hate between humans and Transformers, where literally Unicron was able to use the hate inherited from Chicago, and that was the birthplace for Unicron to rise up and to take over as the Dark Lord of Chaos. And he's using Optimus Prime as his bidding, as his personal what do you call it, puppet in a way. Now you see Stonehenge. Now we knew Stonehenge was going to play a huge part. I was thinking that the sword would be the key to unlock the space bridge in a way to open something, whether that is Unicron himself, Primus, something in that nature. But Optimus Prime would be the key to unlocking and opening whatever is below, with the sword as the key. Again, you can see the light around Optimus Prime and Dragonstorm. Dragonstorm's providing that light, providing that hope, providing the guidance for Optimus to get through this redemption trials of evil, right? That, again, that would why I was thinking that he was the guardian through this. He is literally guiding Optimus through this chain of events to basically beat the evil that is infecting him. You can see, again, the red paint on his hip, the red paint on the sword, and no soul, where Optimus would need something greater, like Primus, to get him through this whole journey of Transformers The Last Night. Would have been damn cool if they would have told that story too. I also thought originally this movie was about time travel, that Optimus literally would have to go back in time to rewrite his own history to save the current time and events. And I really thought that the Omega Lock, we'll call it, was the key to unveiling everything and providing the restart of this new Transformers Age of Extinction, this story plot that I thought they were going to go to. But again, this is good versus evil. Good versus evil. Primus versus Unicron. Plus, I really wanted to see Primus. Now let's look at the third poster, okay? Now it says, rethink your heroes, okay? We see Optimus Prime. Now this time, he actually has color. You see the purple. You see the infection of Optimus. We see what we know to become as Nemesis Prime. Now here's where it gets really interesting, okay? Now, we've already been comparing the swords and everything. It looked more of like a demonic look, which I was thinking was Unicron. In this one, you can see it's very Pharaoh-like. You can see it on top, as Optimus looks evil on top of Bumblebee, but you can see the sword. You can see a Pharaoh-like crown, and then these giant-looking alien eyes. So this is where I thought the quintessence came into play. Maybe Quintessa. That literally there's two evil dark gods controlling Optimus Prime. That would be Unicron and the quintessence, where literally he would need the light of something good to be able to provide him to get through his journey to save Earth and save his race. Now, you see Optimus, right? And he's looking all bold, very gladiator, like very evil, and he's standing on Bumblebee with no remorse. He is clearly being controlled by something. Now, we see in the background, we see what I thought was going to be the Omega Lock. That would be the key for the sword to unlock, to raise a teleport, maybe some time travel device to rewrite the history, right? Now, here is the interesting part. Now, we can see Cybertron up top, okay? We see the Rethink Your Heroes, and we see Cybertron guiding. Now, we saw Cybertron was coming to Earth. This is what I thought was going to happen as well. I thought that that planet itself was maybe some sort of core for Unicron. Maybe like the soul. Like basically, after the battle with the 13, he gathered all this Cybertronian metal and formed a core of himself, which we all know Unicron is the planet eater. He's huge, but in this world, what I thought, he was able to basically make himself as a small planet to be able to travel, you know. And here's where I'm getting at. Now, on top of Optimus in the corner, if you look very closely, there is some sort of devil-looking like creature on top of which we know is Cybertron. I thought that originally was some sort of minion of Unicron, or a possession that he is literally the planet himself that is coming from Earth pretending to be Cybertron. Or possibly Liege Maximus, something of that character. But that's where I thought that Unicron was playing an important part, being with that little Easter egg right up top. You can see the horns, and it's almost like he's guiding his ship, that the planet itself is actually the ship and soul of Unicron. That Unicron was coming to Earth to reclaim what was his. Maybe get his body parts from Earth. Earth has always played a significant part with the Transformers universe. But that's where I thought that this was all going to play out, was with Optimus Prime and Unicron, and Primus being involved in this story. I was really hoping that it was going to be Unicron versus Primus, and Optimus was almost the puppet of both. Now with good, there comes evil. The only way evil can be defeated is with good. And with this light that Primus was providing in the other two pictures, that would be the key for Optimus to get through his redemption trials. Basically his sins, his failures, his leadership. He's questioning everything. This is the perfect time for the Dark Lord to be able to take possession of Optimus Prime. So with all of these little posters and everything, the sword Excalibur would have been the key to this whole story plot, which it obviously wasn't, but that's what I honestly thought. I thought that this was going to be Unicron versus Primus, and Dragonstorm was going to be the guardian of Optimus Prime to get him through these trials to become the hero we know, which is my hero, which is Optimus Prime. So, hope you guys enjoyed that little small sample of this redemption series I'm doing. Optimus Prime, thank you so much for the idea. I've got a ton more coming your way, more speculations. Next, we're going to be focused on Bumblebee. And we're going to be focusing on his origins from Transformers 1 all the way to Last Night, because I feel that there was a bunch of stories that weren't talked about through Bumblebee's origin. Plus, we got the spin-off coming soon. So to my subscribers, I love you so much. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. If you're a fan of Transformers, we dig deep in the lore of Transformers. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at LastPrimeSpeculator. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at LastPrimeSpeculator. And I will leave all the links and descriptions below. Again, make sure to like this button, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification squad. If you watch this whole video, make sure to put the hashtag Redemption series. I'm sorry, we'll do hashtag Redemption, and I'll make sure to give you a shout out in my next video. Guys, thank you so much for your patience. LPS, Last Prime Speculator. This is the first story of the Redemption series. Plenty more to come. Peace.